listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javan Okello, live from Seattle, Washington, USA.
Thank you so much for joining me for another incredible session here of the African Father in America podcast. My name is Simon Javan Okello, and I am the host of the African Father in America podcast. We are currently live streaming on YouTube and also live streaming on Clubhouse. I have a special guest here with me today. Celine Brozovic is our guest today. Celine is an incredible leader who has, he has over 2 decades worth of experience in the telecommunications and healthcare IT worlds. And today we are going to learn a lot about lifestyle medicine, but we are going to begin with an amazing Tanzanian proverb. Before we continue, Celine, go ahead and say hi to our viewers.
Hello and bonjour.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Celine. I see that we've been joined also on Clubhouse by, I believe it's Cabs. Let me see. Yes, Cabs. How are you? I see Kesiwa as well. I just want to thank you all for being here. Cabs, go ahead and just say hi real quick before we begin our session here. I also see Simply E has joined us for today's session. Hey, Simply E. Hey, Cabs. Just go ahead and say hi quickly before we begin.
Hey, good morning from Missouri. Hi, Simon, Simply E. Kesiwa, what's going on? Juliet, hi. Celine, can't wait to hear from you again. Good to see you again. Thank you.
Excellent. Hey, Simply, go ahead and say hello.
Hi. Grand Rising, everybody.
Excellent. So, as you all know, today is Wednesday. So, today is also Poetry Wednesday. And it simply is going to just ground us on, on some beautiful poems, or to just remind us about how Wednesdays used to be here in the African Father in America podcast. Thank you, Steve, for also joining us. I want to, share with you all the proverb for today's conversation so that you can start thinking about it. I also want to encourage you, if you're watching on YouTube, thank you. Thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for supporting this channel. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up and make sure you leave us with your comment down below so that we know that you're following this beautiful conversation. Every day we gather here so that we can uplift our ancestors by discussing literally words that they discussed before. These African proverbs are not new. These are words of our ancestors that they used as their guiding principles. And today our proverb is from Tanzania, and it says that do not make the dress before the child is born. Do not make the dress before the child is born. When you think about this proverb, what is it that comes to your mind? I want to know. Let me know in the comments if you are on YouTube, but if you are on Clubhouse, also let me know in the chat. Feel free to let others know that we are here by sharing the link to this room. And also, I want to share with you the 3 nuggets of wisdom that are related to today's proverb. The first one says that be patient and kind. Be patient and kind. Sometime, when we have to be so patient, we forget to be kind. Impatience really causes havoc sometimes. So it's just a reminder that, as this proverb says, do not make the dress before the child is born. Just follow the process, trust the process. Number 2, think through potential consequences. A lot of the time, most of us celebrate even before the day that we need to celebrate has arrived. So think through some of the potential consequences of, what would happen if you began telling people about something incredible that you did even before you did it. And then number 3, plan for life's difficulties. This proverb is teaching us to better prepare ourselves for uncertainty. Sometimes we might think that things are going to work out the way that we envisioned, and suddenly they are completely taking the wrong direction. How did you prepare yourself before you started your journey so that you can deal with such eventualities? So these are the 3 nuggets of wisdom that will put us in a good place in order for us to start this conversation. But as usual, this is one of the first questions I ask my guests. Celine Brozovic is the founder of ELM Tree Model. And this is a model that combines emotional intelligence, lifestyle medicine, and mindset to help teams develop habits for sustainable results. Celine has a master's in electrical engineering and an MBA, and she has certification in psychological safety in the workplace, among many academic accomplishments. And she's also been in the telecommunications industry for over 25 years, particularly in the health IT sector, where she worked for Fortune 10 companies, for many years. And for those who are joining us, if you've been here before, you've probably seen Celine on the show. She comes quite a few times on Wednesdays, really to remind us about the value of taking better care of ourselves. And so today we brought Celine back because, taking care of ourselves is something that we do every minute, but if you have somebody remind you once a week, by just educating you a little further, it's just invaluable. So Celine, talk to us about this proverb first before we go into the complicated topics that we also have to dive into today. So thank you again for making the time.
Thank you very much, Simon, for having me. When I heard this proverb, I'm like, wow, the wisdom of our forefathers. You see, way back then, infant mortality was very high. They knew that. So to ensure that one didn't fall into a hard grief, it's already painful to lose a child, let alone one that you've planned for, the clothes, the room and all. And that grief, if not properly treated, leading to depression, who could lead to some catastrophic situation to families. So it is wisdom for prevention of grief. So I'm always amazed by uh, uh, the foresight of our forefathers. I love a lot of forefathers, foresight, and everything. So this is what that poem means to me.
That's beautiful. I love that. I love, what you shared with us there, Celine. And I also see that we've been joined by, our friends and community members on Clubhouse. And I want to take a moment here to welcome you if you're just joining us. And I want to encourage you to make sure you share the link to the room on Clubhouse and also comment, as you share, whether it's on Clubhouse and elsewhere. I also want to urge you to do the same if you're joining us on YouTube. Make sure you comment so that we know where you're joining us from. I see that Taban is joining us here from Kisumu, and MJ is also joining us here. It's really wonderful to see all of you here live and direct. Now, I just want to take a second here, Celine, to give Simply E a chance to just speak about Wednesdays. Wednesdays, these poetry days have been special for a while, and I just want Simply to take us back there for a second before we come back and continue on with our conversation with you, Celine, where we are just going to dive even deeper into we want one childhood story from you, Celine, and I'll tell you a little bit about it in a moment. Simply E, go ahead and you speak to us about Wednesdays and why it's special to you. Yeah, I think Simply is probably far away from her microphone, so...
No, I apologize.
Oh, no
I
problem,
got
no
stuck
problem.
in changing the quality, changing the sound quality. So Wednesdays are very special for poets, particularly being able to hear the Proverbs and being able to put that in our lives And then not only that, being a poet, um, relating to the proverb or being able to pull something out that you've already looked at and look at it from a different angle when writing is such a beautiful way to regurgitate, and not only that, but to analyze what's already been captured in life and bring it back fresh again. So I love Wednesdays. It's very special to the spoken word community and in poetry. So thank you for this opportunity, Simon, to be able to just bring this to another level in space. I do have a piece.
Yeah, I would love for you to prepare that piece. As soon as I finish interviewing Celine, I would love for you to share the piece. I'm just so happy that you have one. Again, thank you, Simply E, for continuing to ground these Wednesday sessions on poetry. Celine is my special guest, Celine Brozovic, for those who are just joining us. And we just talked about Celine's interpretation of today's proverb. And now we want to move into Celine's childhood story that inspires the work that she does as the inventor of the ELM tree model, and also the leader that you are, Celine. Not many of our people take the time and create a career out of taking care of other people, especially lifestyle medicine. Many people shy away from advising other people that, hey, you need to take better care of yourself. It's while it seems to be easy, I would have a hard time telling somebody else that, look, you need to work out more, you need to drink more water, you need to do better, and you have taken that courageous path of actually doing that daily. And I want you to talk to us about what is it that you think inspires this work that is courageous that you do today.
Thank you very much, Simon. I'm going to bring in my mother. So when I was born, my mother developed high blood pressure right there at my birth. And she took medication for her entire life. And those medications have side effects and all, and I won't get into the detail of that. So I've always been intrigued with high blood pressure and the fact that you needed to take medication your entire life. And those medication, I recall seeing my mother with bags of medication, because what will happen is you have the medication, then it has side effects, and they'll give medication for the side effects. And that second medication has its own side effects. So there'll be another medication for side effects and all. So when in my old age, I start having high blood pressure, I'll always negotiate with the doctor, go and do some quick crash diet, bring it down, and lose some weight quickly, and it will come up. And the final doctor, when I went to see him to say, Mrs. Brozovic, we're not going to do that. If I don't put you on medication, I cannot be your doctor. I have to put you on medication. I look at him and I say, H, no. And I'm like, I'm Christian, so I cannot curse. H, put in whatever you want in there. No, I am not doing medication. You guys, you people gave medication to my mother, and it's not medication, medications to my mother after medication, and I know what it ended up with. So I decided to go a natural route, and I found a natural route which was in my lifestyle. What did I do? I corrected that lifestyle, but let me pause a little bit. We talked about infant mortality. Hear me talk about adult mortality. Do you know in the whole world what is the number one killer, especially in America, because I'll be focusing on American statistic? Heart disease. The number one killer. Do you know every 34 seconds an American is having a heart attack? Every 34 seconds. I didn't say 34 days or weeks or months. 34 seconds. Boom, boom, boom. Somebody's is dying actually from a heart attack. And every 40 seconds, somebody is having one. So you, my brothers and sisters listening to me here, know the following. Those diseases Chronic diseases are perfectly preventable and reversible. What do you do? Your entire lifestyle, every day, pay attention to what you're putting into your mouth in terms of food, drugs, alcohol, tobacco, gossip, hydration. And when it comes to food, to my customers, I tell them have a map, meaning a mainly plant-based nutrition. And when I say plant-based, I mean a whole food plant-based nutrition. No, we'll talk about veganism and stuff like that later. The second thing you want to do is how are you managing your stress? Please manage your stress. Have a connection to the divine. The research has shown that people who have a connection to the divine, they live longer, happier lives. Okay? Then do something with that body. Take a walk, garden, dance, do something, move out of this couch. And the other three part of the lifestyle, we'll address that another time. But I'm going to come back to nutrition because yesterday I was having a conversation with a customer. She's gained weight, BMI over 40. She's losing weight. Do you know the one thing she's working on? Candies, sweet. In her office, people bring candies and she'll pop them in and stuff. Those free food that people give you, unless it is fruits or things you can recognize, don't eat it. Those chocolate, sugar, and stuff like that. The chocolate that they bring in the office, it's usually maybe 10% chocolate. Everything is loaded in sugar. That white sugar, high corn fructose sugar, corn syrup, all of those things, brothers and sisters, stay away from it. When it comes to heart disease, when it kills you, you are lucky. We're going to cry in that. The challenge is most of the time it's going to incapacitate you, incapacitate your families, create a whole bunch of stress to your spouse, to your children, and you can do something about it. You, let me look straight again in the camera. You can do something about it. We all going to die, but we don't have to die stupidly like that with something that we can perfectly prevent and reverse. Look at yourself and look at your children. Look at your family. Don't they deserve the best of you?
Wow, incredible, incredible, incredible. Thank you, Celine, for just, educating us, but also, for me, it's also scary to think about all of this. And it's also simple to do something about it because it's really, you take responsibility for everything that you put in your mouth, So it's also simple like that. Anyhow, change is difficult, and I think what I'm learning from you and everything you're saying is really how to make small changes and make a difference in your life and in the life of your community or your family. So I deeply appreciate that. Go ahead.
The change. Change is my specialty, one of my specialties when I was working in corporate America, and I brought that in there. So the first thing I do with my customers is change is to find your motivation. And next week, I want to talk deeper about that. In the business world, we call it your burning yes. Think between now and next week, why do you want to adopt a new lifestyle to be healthier? Don't tell me it's because I want to lose weight. No, go deep. And next week, Simon, please remind me to talk about change and the steps of changes. But start thinking, why do I want to change my lifestyle? Unless you respond to that question seriously, you are not going to make a change. Unless you answer to that question seriously, why do I want to adopt that lifestyle? you are not going to change. And the answer to that question is what is going to fuel you, to motivate you to get going.
Excellent. So, I want to go a little further and talk to you about exactly, what you do for your customers, what you do with the ELM tree model in general, but also maybe give us a case, a recent case of a project, an individual that you're working with that is really motivating you to continue on with the work that you do, because I'm sure you're not the first one who is trying to transform our communities in this way. There are many people who are also actually working now to help transform our community in a similar way and also in different ways. But I want to know if there's something exciting that you're working on now that you want people who are listening, people who are viewing to really pay attention to.
Okay, so I'm going to answer that question by giving a success story of one of my young customer. He was a young man in his 30s, newlywed and all, with type 2 diabetes. He heard me talk, he came to me. So I listened, and we're going to work on that why. Why do you want to change that lifestyle? Because after all, with diabetes, you have the pills that you can pop in. And we work on his why. His why was very interesting. He said, my commitment to my wife. Because what I told him, when you take those diabetes medication, shortly you're going to gain weight. And oh, by the way, it's going to impact your potency. You're going to have problem with erectile dysfunction. It's like, no, 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 no. I am a newlywed. I cannot afford that. I want to be young. I want to basically live a vibrant uh, uh, married life. And we work on all the aspects of the lifestyle. And slowly, he starts reducing his medication. And on December 12, 2020, yes, December 12, 2020, because we had started in 2020 with COVID, he sent me a note to say, I am off my medication for diabetes. That I'm like, whoa, this was so interesting. I was jumping and screaming because the way I work with people is I work with people one individual at a time because we are all so unique. I work in groups, but when I'm dealing with customers, I don't view them as, oh, I need to have millions of customers. One success story is makes my day, makes my week, makes me going and give me the desire to go and fight those nasty diseases that makes people widows, that destroys lives, that destroy careers. This is one story that yes, even type 2 diabetes, you can prevent it, number one, and you can reverse it. Or you can decrease the amount of medication. The least amount of medication you take in your body, the better your body is. So don't you want to reduce the medication that you are taking? Look at me. I am going to be 60 this year. Am I taking any medication? Zip, zero. At my age, the average American is on at least 2 medications. High blood pressure or high cholesterol or something. Did that answer that question?
Yes,
So
it did. It did. And
being healthier makes my day, makes my day, makes my joy. That was get me to continue that work. And doing that work also, um, it's you are there for the other human being. I had a customer that I was working with. In her case, I'm doing one-on-one, and I was able to enter into her story and share my own. You can feel that she's like, oh, there is hope. Yes, people, there is hope. And the hope has you in the middle. You play a big, massive role in taking back your health. Look at me. It is 6 o'clock, almost 6 o'clock. We just woke up. I haven't had coffee. I haven't even had my first glass of water yet. Look at the energy that I have. It's that lifestyle. That lifestyle makes you feel vibrant and energized all day long. You don't need to go get any kind of energy drinks or whatever it is. No, everything is in your lifestyle for you to get that energy, that mental clarity, protecting every single organs in your body.
Incredible. We need to hear more of this. I need to be in spaces where I hear people who are doing their best for themselves. Doing your best for yourself is actually the biggest job that most of us have. I want to thank everyone who is joining us on Clubhouse. I want to thank everyone who has joined us on YouTube. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, take a minute and do that now. The link, if you're on Clubhouse, is at the top of the room. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you give this video a thumbs up and also comment down below. I do see some incredible comments here. I just want to pick a few and maybe just read a couple. Jewel is saying that this proverb reminds her of the saying that don't count your chickens before they hatch. That's true. And then Taban says also on YouTube that in relation to today's proverb, since we don't know what might happen tomorrow, we should be patient and kind. I like that. And then so many other comments there. Feel free to join us on YouTube and leave us with your comment. I want to come back to Clubhouse and begin just listening to some of the contributions there for the next few minutes. Celine, I would love for you to just take notes. You can actually take real notes and then reflect on some of the things that our brothers and sisters are going to say in a moment, or you can just take mental notes. But I just want to give a shout out to Sam, who is joining us from Khartoum in Sudan. I want to give a shout out to Jermaine, who is now on stage but joining us from Jamaica, and of course Richmo joining us from the east coast of the US, and Rocky joining us from Singapore, and Kesiwa joining us from California by way of Ghana, and many of you who are here today. Thank you so much for continuing to share the room. Actually, from where I am, I haven't seen any share on Clubhouse, so I want to encourage you to do that. Now, Cabs, you are going to be the next person I engage with. How are you doing, Cabs? Where in the world are you joining us from? And what is it that you've picked up from the conversation with Celine that you want to comment on? And also, what are your views on today's proverb, do not make the dress before the child is born? This is from Tanzania.
Yeah. Always great being in this room. And as you said earlier, our ancestors had so much wisdom providing these proverbs that guide us, and it's timeless, these proverbs. So when I just thought about the proverb, truly, as Celine had said, in back in the day, and I was thinking about, like, my grandmother had 10 children on one side, on the other side had 9 but lost, on my dad's side had 9 but lost 3. And so it is true that a lot of the time in those days people had many children because you just never knew how many children would survive. So it's a very fitting proverb. And I think about also in another way, when you're working or you're planning things, it's good maybe to think about letting things unfold before imagining things have happened. Let them unfold slowly. So don't count your chickens before they hatch. Celine, that's good to hear from you again. From the last time you spoke, I started noticing, because you talked about having more vegetables in your diet and, more fluids. I have started increasing the amount of fluids I'm having and also vegetables. So your words are not lost on us. So always good to see you. Thank you so much for coming again. I'll pass the mic back to you, Simon.
Excellent. You're making Celine excited over here. I just love listening to some of the impacts that some of our guests are having on people. I'll go straight to Simply E. Simply E, feel free to share the piece that you have, and also speak to this proverb, and feel free to comment on the conversation we are having today with Celine.
Yeah, thank you, Simon. Celine, I mean, I am hanging on to every single word. I just love your spin on life, and also health, and just making sure we're in alignment with where we need to be. I did hear you say, having a connection to a higher power is, I'm paraphrasing, of course, but you gave um, the powerful space of knowing that that actually adds increase to our lives. And so I appreciate you for that as well. And then, not only that, but just to honor the way that you interpreted the proverb today. It was beautiful. Um, in following up on the proverb, do not make the dress before the child is born. I think this proverb is very deep. There's several layers of it. Um, I'm going to come from a playful, yet um, peaceful place when it comes to this. And this is a short piece that I wrote a while back. It's called Polka Dots. Strawberry shortcake Superman cape. Which one did Mommy and Daddy make? Purple combines both red and blue. What will the stork deliver in June? Cars or baby dolls made for play? Which one will she deliver in May? Will he work at the hospital like Dad? Or will she crunch numbers like Mommy's pad? Lost hair barrettes or mismatched shoes? A boy or girl? Which one do you choose? Drum set, piano, or clarinet? Which one will be in her bassinet? Sailor suits, navy boots, polka dot dresses? Can you tell me what your guess is? And this is my spin on the African proverb, do not make the dress before the child is born, because you just don't know what's coming.
Yeah, you just don't know what's coming, you just don't know. And I love that piece. I love that piece. Thank you so much, Simply E. For those who are meeting Simply for the first time, she's been quite an incredible contributor to the growth of the daily African proverbs, Africa Day. Simply has been deeply involved with helping me, and a lot of people who are listening in right now have also helped with growing Africa Day, which we've done virtually for 2 years. So thank you again, Simply E, and thank you for grounding every Wednesday here in the African Father in America podcast around powerful poems like the one you just shared. I want to continue on and bring on Stephen. Stephen, just quickly share with us also your interpretation of today's proverb from Tanzania, and also any comments to the poem and to the conversation with Celine.
Thank you for having me, Simon. Hello, everyone. I'm Steven, joining from Kisumu, Kenya. And must say, I've been challenged a lot by Celine on uh, self care and wellness. I think there's a lot that I need to do because I'm one person who keeps on. Today, I go for exercise. Tomorrow, like my body is paining and I don't want to get up again and go and do exercise for my own good. And from Celine's word of encouragement, and I think I need to keep pushing more than I can push. On today's proverb, my understanding and interpretation of the proverb is it's a reminder to me on the virtues of being patient and also being prepared always in life, because you don't know what tomorrow may bring. So It's the importance of being patient and just being prepared for tomorrow and appreciating tomorrow the way it comes, because you never know what good tomorrow will present to you. Thank you for having me, Simon.
Of course, of course. Thank you, Stephen, for your contribution as well. Let's see if Stella is able to speak today. Stella, share with us where you're joining us from, your thoughts on this beautiful proverb from Tanzania, and also any other comment that you have in regards to today's conversation with Celine or the poem from Simply E. Okay, we'll go on to Brother Earth. How are you, my brother? Where are you joining us from? And what are your perspectives on today's conversation?
Peace and love. Greetings, village. Brother Earth. I'm coming from North Carolina, Jersey. And again, it's always refreshing to go forth on the wisdom of the ancestors. And especially when the Queen Celine is coming forth with the words of wisdom, reminding us how to be healthy on multiple levels, mentally, spiritually, and physically. And as far as the proverb is concerned, um, I want to say Cobb's touched on a point that I wanted to make. What it reminds me of is, the old saying, don't count your chicken before they hatch. Uh, and then there's another was, don't put the cart before the horse. And then the third one is you can plan a perfect picnic, but you can't predict the weather. And to me, all three of these things speak about managing expectations. A lot of times when you get too big expectation or expect so much, when you if it don't happen how you expect it to, or it don't go through how you plan, it could crush you, or uh, a failure, could be devastating you if you expect too much. But by managing expectations, it's easier to stay focused and stay on track because, you know what I mean? You won't be over emotional about it. And I'll pause and play right there. Peace and love, family. Brother Earth.
Peace and love to you, brother. Thank you for always making the time, despite how busy sometime you can be around the time of the show. I deeply appreciate that. I know, I know it's not easy, but I know you're always here. So that always means a lot. William, I haven't seen you in a while. It was nice to see you in person in August. How are you doing? I was in your neighborhood not too long ago. Share with us where you are at the moment and what today's proverb and conversation means to you.
Hello, Simon and the village. It's so good to be here. I'm coming here from Kenmore, Washington, just northeast of Seattle. This proverb is very interesting. To me, in some ways, it goes against some forms of wisdom. I think that faith says if you really think that it's going to rain, then you build the ark, in terms of Noah and his journey. And then, I think faith also says, call things that are not as though they are. And then I think on the other hand, the proverb is telling us to go with the flow, you know, just go with what's going on and plan your future that way. And in terms of the conversation we've been having about health, I think exercise is very important. Got to get in a walk a couple of days a week.
That's fantastic. Thank you. Thank you so much for making the time. It means a lot. Fred, how are you? Where are you joining us from? And what are your thoughts in regards to the proverb and in regards to today's conversation in general?
Good morning, everyone. Calling from Akron, Ohio, and got a couple of things, two or three things to share. Listening to Celine, I know she's talking about health, and then I heard somebody state that you got to look at what tomorrow will bring. I live a life that I kind of determine what's coming tomorrow. Um, so when I listen to the two aspects, I just share this. This just came to me while you all were talking. what tomorrow brings depends on what you put in your body today. So I kind of got that when I was hearing everybody talk. So with the proverb, do not make the dress before the child is born. I grew up with this issue. I believe a lot of people have. We do it uh subconsciously, but we don't realize what we're doing. For example, you may have a child outside playing, and they just happen to run with an efficient speed. And the average person may say, "Oh, wow, they're going to be a track star, or they're going to be a football star. They're going to be," just because the child is running fast, not realizing the child is just having a great time, and that passion is showing through the speed of his feet. When I look at the word of dress, there's two aspects to it. It's either to guide or control. Now, a lot of people try to forecast a child's future before the child even comes into the world. I heard this one person on this one phrasing that people say, "Oh, I was raised to do this, and I was raised to do that." And this person mentioned that you have the term raise, you have the word cultivate. And if you look at a flower, you can't really control how a flower is going to turn out. The flower is going to do what it's going to do. So you end up cultivating, not raising it. So this person also referenced you raise animals, but you cultivate humans. You just let the child come in and be who they are, and kind of protect it and cultivate it to be its natural self. So when I hear that, do not make the dress before the child is born, that's what I hear. For me, I was a big guy. I love sports, but I loved art, and they didn't cultivate my art, but they raised me to play football. So I ended up having to come back to my natural self, which is media slash art. So just let that child be what it came into the world to be, and not hinder that growth by putting your perspective or your dress on it. That's all I have.
Incredible. Thank you so much, Fred, for your support today and your support over the years. There's a lot that Fred has done for this space and also for One Vibe Africa. So I just deeply appreciate your continued support and your presence today. Brother Rushi, how are you doing? Where are you joining us from? And what are your perspectives in regards to the proverb and the entire conversation?
Shalom. Thank you, Simon. This proverb is very, very interesting to me. I think it goes really well with the guest speaker today talking about health also. But I am calling from Charleston, South Carolina, where I'm from. This proverb actually it reminds me of a song that I always heard a lot when I was younger as a kid growing up in my teenage years. There's a song that that everyone in my family used to sing, or sometimes the older generation used to sing this song. Every time I wanted to do something, and everyone felt I was rushing to do something, they would sing a song. It says, "Mama used to say, take your time, young man. Mama used to say, don't rush to get old. Mama used to say, take it all in stride. Mama used to say, live your life." And they used to always sing this song, and it really reminds me of this proverb. And I think what this proverb is saying is you got to do things in moderation. Moderation is kind of the key of life. But one also interesting thing is, growing up, I grew up in a country area where my grandmother used to live in. I always remember always seeing the older generation, people in their 60s and 70s. They always had issues with high blood pressure. They always had amputated legs or things like that. And I always, as growing up as a kid, seeing that I always felt that these things were hereditary. And growing up in a country area, no one never really put together that all these issues that we were having in our community, they were all really tied to our health, to our diet, how we ate, overeating. And that's something I had to grow up and learn as an adult, that what I put in my mouth is what impacts how I feel. And that's something that I had to learn later in life. And one interesting thing that I actually read about the other day is that someone who smokes regularly. If you quit smoking today and you don't smoke for about a year, your lungs can actually regenerate and your lungs can actually heal themselves, and your lungs could be similar to someone who doesn't even smoke at all. So the human body is when it comes to technology, the human body is the highest form of science there is. And we have to really be in tune to our bodies and just know that whatever we do, we can fix it and we can make it better. It's important to just try to improve daily and not try to look forward too much and say, "Oh, I want to have big muscles." But what you have to start today and say, "Okay, what I know for me, what I do is I say I just want to improve on yesterday. I just want to be better than yesterday." That's why it's so important for me to come in this room every day because mental health is so important. But how do I work on my mental health? By me coming in here every day and getting the wisdom from Simon and everyone else. Just think about January. We do this every day. By December, our mental health is mentally. I'm more stronger. I feel better. So it's all about taking the time and improving on yourself today. It's all about today for me. So that's what I think about with this proverb. Thanks.
Thank you, my brother Rushi. I just love everything you shared with us today, and I had no idea you could sing.
I can't
That
sing.
that was so beautiful. So I'll be asking you to sing with me sometime. Anyway, thank you so much for just uplifting us with a lot of wisdom today. I want to come to you, Melissa. Share with us where you're joining us from, and also your thoughts in regards to today's proverb, and any comment on the conversation that we're having today. Thank you.
Good morning, African Father in America family. It's so good to be in here to connect. And I am um, reaching out from the beautiful area of Asheville, North Carolina, the mountains, the Blue Ridge Mountains here in the United States. And I love this proverb. I really do. It kind of, as someone who um, works with thought, works with the intellect. I love it because it basically means, to me, just allow the child to be who they are, you know, before you determine, everything about it. Sometimes uh, once upon a time before I was the owner of a global think tank, I was an educator. And so I was around parents, who loved their children very, very much. But sometimes they had already determined what their kids would be. You will be a doctor. You will be a lawyer. And when these beautiful beings called children who will become adults come into this world, they already have a package. They already have, to me, innate intelligence. They have a call on their life. And parents, to me, are the primary educators, but they're a guardian of a beautiful treasure that already knows what it's going to be. So I think this proverb, for me, is a beautiful reminder. Do not make the dress before the child is born. In other words, do not self determine another person's destiny. Let them be able to see who they are and become their greatest self. And that is my share.
That's so incredible. Thank you. Thank you so much. There's nothing I can add to that. It's just beautiful as it is. Thank you. I want to come to you now, Jermaine, and then Stella. I saw your share in the chat and on YouTube. I'll read it in a second. Jermaine, how are you? Where are you joining us from? And what are your thoughts in regards to today's conversation?
Greetings, everyone. Can you hear me okay, Simon?
Yes, you sound great. I can hear you very well. Thank you.
Okay, thanks again for the space, for us to share on health, and for us to just, share thoughts, and go back into our cranium for memories, and this proverb really, has been very interesting, the thoughts that has come, from Brother Earth to just what Melissa Perkins just said. To me, it speaks to expectations and uncertainties. Do not make the dress until the child is born. Someone earlier talked about faith and that they have some, control our, expectations of tomorrow. And we all have some level of control. I don't imagine about tomorrow. But life, for me, is full of uncertainties. And just to be safe, I guess this is what this proverb is telling us. To understand that the expectation may not always, meet up the standard. The child may not be smart, not be athletic. It might be, might be an artist. But some parents and people have expectations, and when they are not met, then there goes the disappointment. And we know that trust is a big factor in our life. This Proverbs is about, life now. That, for me at least, how I see it now. Whereby we have expectations, and there are certain things that's certain. If you go into a factory, they will tell you, well, this iPhone will work. It's certain to work, but up until what point? There is not all of them work. You wonder why, if you do probability distribution, or any statistician might knows that there's a batch in that container of tomato that spoil. So you might say you're going to be in this machine, and you're going to fly this plane because you're certain that it will stay up in the air. But there's no certainty that it will stay up in the air. It's just life, and there's uncertainties, and you might make that dress thinking and hoping with all your confidence, well, that this is the size going to fit well, and it don't. And just to be safe, I guess this is what the proverb is saying. Be safe. Understand that expectation might not met. So when you have more knowledge, more information, then you make that stock pick. Don't go off your feelings or emotional with the limited knowledge that you may have at the time. Dig deeper. Wait until you see some level of certainty, and then you can make that dress. So that is just my thought. So thanks again, Simon, and peace.
Peace and blessings to you, Jermaine. I just appreciate your depth of knowledge and your contribution today. Jay, how are you? Where are you joining us from, and what are your own perspective in regards to the proverb and our conversation today? Okay. While we wait for Jay,
I was here. But I'm so sorry. My apologies
you're
to
fine.
everyone. I tapped the wrong thing, and I've never done that before. Anyway, still tired. Seattle. I'm coming from Seattle, and regarding this proverb, when I read it, the first thing that came to mind is that you have to be reasonable and practical, realistic in the decisions that you make in your life. About making that dress before the child is born. You're expecting something to happen. You're thrilled. You're excited. You're buying all this stuff, and that's understandable. But looking at it in terms of life in general, I think about, you're expecting this job, you're expecting this promotion, or you're given the impression that something is going to occur or happen in your life that's going to increase your financial status. And so then you start buying. You start buying things on credit, or buying stuff at that time you can't even afford, but you're expecting your financial status to improve to the point where you'll be able to pay it, and then it doesn't work out the way you expected, you wanted, you intended, you planned, and you're in that. I think several people mentioned that disappointment will naturally happen, but then you're stuck with all of this stuff that now is a reminder of your disappointment, and is a reminder that you now have obligations that you would not have had before if you had not counted your chickens before they hatched. This is Jay, and I'm done speaking. Thank you so much.
Wonderful, Jay. Thank you. You gave a really important example there where it comes to how, especially here in America, people go on spending sprees with credit cards, just because of hope. People change their lifestyle because of hope, which is what faith actually requires us to do, according to what William was saying. You have to have faith, and you have to believe that what does not exist could exist. So many things to think about, and at the end of the day, I think you just have to deepen your level of awareness and trust your instinct. If you've always trusted your instinct and the results have come the way that you've always hoped for, and it has worked for you, maybe you should keep doing that. It has to now be on an individual basis. So Celine, you've had so many things that have come from our brothers and sisters who have been sharing. Before you come back and just reflect on a few of them and then close us out, I want to give a shout out to Mamzi, Ebony, Johnny Nogood, Taban, Jamal, Rocky, Kesiwa, who could not speak today but they're listening on Clubhouse. Thank you. And also to all the contributors who spoke today. Your voices, your wisdom really matter to me, and I really thank you for taking the time. One of the biggest contributors to this space is Stella Oiro, who is unable to speak, and she says in the comments here that this proverb encourages us to practice active listening, and she says that I believe listening is the most important part of every conversation. And this proverb is also low-key, saying lower your expectations, dear. You even though you could be so confident about getting a pay increase, it might not happen. You might be so confident about locking in a client, and so increasing your source of revenue, or even you might be confident of getting a grant and you get disappointed that grant is not coming through, that loan is not coming through. So just lower your expectations. Celine.
Thank you very much, everybody. Wow, a whole bunch of gem and wisdom. And I'm just going to pick one, the one that resonated very deeply with me. It is the one where the caller said, cultivate the human being. Don't forecast your child's future. Let them be. Don't put the dress that you've sewn on that child. The child is born with their own personality, their own talent, their own gift. As a parent, you have to observe and then cultivate what that child is, but not put on that child your own dreams, your own expectations. Because you wanted to be a doctor, you couldn't. That child should be what it is that you couldn't. Because you wanted to be an engineer, you couldn't. That child should be an engineer. That child is not you. That child comes from you, but that child is not you. Do not put your dress on that child. This is one of the most beautiful, the strongest, and the very unusual way of looking at that proverb. Don't you go and buy that dress. Don't you go buy that spot at Harvard University, because that child doesn't want to go to Harvard. That child doesn't need to go to Harvard. That child will accomplish a whole bunch of things that doesn't require Harvard University. Be there, be in tune with that child, the uniqueness of that child, and let that child be and cultivate that child. Thank you so very much, the caller who shared that. And this for me is a very unique way of summarizing that proverb for the day. And the clock is saying 7 o'clock.
That's right. That's right. So how do we stay connected with you, Celine, and how do we support your work?
So what you do is you go on Selena Nelon Brozovic. You'll find my website. You'll find me on LinkedIn. One of you actually connected with me on LinkedIn, and we've been chatting and doing things on LinkedIn. And if you have a church, a group that needs to hear about the fact that chronic diseases are not linked to your gene. They're not contagious. They're not linked to your gene. It doesn't come from your family, from your tribe. It comes from your lifestyle. I'll be more than happy to go and talk to your churches, to your office, to your groups, anywhere you have 5, 10 people or more. Let me know. All I want to do is bring that information to people. I
I
want to
love
be known as Moses of.
I love that. I love that. I love your dedication and your enthusiasm to the work that you do. And this is why I love hosting you here in the African Father in America podcast. Just a couple of announcements. Number one, Kijiji Night is happening on February 24th at Langston Hughes Performing Arts Institute in Seattle, Washington. I want you all to be there. I want to see you there, Celine. I want to see everybody who is in Seattle joining us at Kijiji Night, February 24th. We are looking for volunteers for that, people who can help with promotion, including those who cannot make it to Seattle. You can still help promote Kijiji Night online. So reach out to me or Stella, and we will be able to give you all the promo assets. Number two, next week, Wednesday and Thursday, and maybe even Friday, our programming here might be disrupted because I'll be traveling. So if you don't see us here, go to YouTube and watch some of the previous episodes, but we might be able to broadcast. But I'm just letting you know that Wednesday, Thursday, Friday next week might be disrupted. But we will do everything we can so that we are here, and then I'll share more about where I'm traveling to. And really, this is about the One Vibe experience too. Lavender's been speaking about it a lot whenever we are here. So one of the ways you can learn more is to go to the description of this video on YouTube. We have resources there, and one of those resources is the One Vibe experience. These are the annual trips that we organize to Kenya particularly, and we want you to be a part of them, whether it's this year, next year, this month, next month. Just check out the description and learn more. I'm grateful, and I can't wait to see you all here again tomorrow. And I just want you all to take great care of yourselves. Celine, any last word before we press the end button?
People, you have the power. You've got the power. Go take care of that health.
Excellent. Thank you all so much. Take great care of yourselves. Peace and love.
African Father in America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. African Father in America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javan Okello, live from Seattle, Washington, USA.